Hi, everybody, and welcome to whatever the hell it is. It's Monday Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the Big and Furry Bovine. Joining me on the panel today is Brian and Hammer Time, Jim Hammer, and Bronk in merry old England. I'm your Big and Furry Bovine host. And, I want to get this, if you want to have a basic, a cow holds your hand. I did do a broadcast yesterday holding the hand of a lot of Browns fans who were so disappointed when Cincinnati ended up winning the game. So, it happens, folks. And so if you want any of that, that's yesterday, and it's right up on the archive, and you can watch it. And it's just like having your own personal bovine therapist.
I watched it. I have to admit, it's a very good show. If you're watching this broadcast and you've not seen that show, and you're a regular follower of Moohead, I would highly recommend it because
it should be required viewing. All right, what I'm going to do here,
walking around the I-480 bridge looking for a nice spot to jump off of it, and just watch yesterday's show.
And don't do something rash, and don't go out and get a rash either, because that's not going to help you. I want to share a screen, and this is part of the sickness, okay?
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
And, the fact that it's emanating from the NFL on CBS, this is the kind of hatefulness.
They hate us.
Well,
it's a hate crime. The fucking hate.
Do you honestly believe that one of the 2 or 3 broadcast partners of the NFL didn't get the go-ahead that it's fine to shit all over the Browns? And do you really think the league will ever allow the Cleveland Browns to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so. This is the most unprofessional thing that I've ever seen. It just defies, it's hateful. And then I realized what it's all about. And I'll pull it off the screen because it makes me violently fucking ill.
It's like Florio and his raisinette testicles.
Yeah, what's up, Bronk?
I have a quick question. Why did they do the same similar graphic for the fucking Miami Dolphins and the fucking Denver Broncos and all the other twatty teams that got knocked out and eliminated yesterday?
And a list of all the quarterbacks that John Elway passed on, right? In the draft. Right. Why not? And the answer is Browns is Browns. And so they want it to always be. And I'll say this. Cleveland Browns fans, like this, okay? People like this make me sick, all right? I don't even know you, but you make me fucking sick. Don't tell me that you're a fan of this team and just say, well, you're a bandwagoner. You're a dick licker. You don't even deserve to be on this program. I have, and you're like the people who send death threats to Baker Mayfield. And now CBS is going to pile on, you see? And what happens is CBS is probably getting all kinds of death threats and hate mail from hateful Browns fans who are hateful about themselves, their lives, their wives, their children, their football team, the length of their penises, whatever the case may be. And, if you're that unfulfilled, find a hobby. Do something meaningful with your life, for God's sakes. But don't come on here and say, oh, this doesn't really matter. What matters is we watch, we report on this, we win together, we lose together. Were you fighting, you dork, were you fighting for the Browns to come back into the league for this? Just so you can act like an asshole like that? you don't understand. The Browns could go 9-8. I think they're going to go 8-9. But frankly, there are teams that would kill to go 9-8. There are teams who would kill to have gone 12-5 last year. There are teams that haven't been in the playoffs for God knows how long. Talk to Detroit Lion fans. Talk to the Washington football team fans. Talk to the Jets, the Giants, for God's sakes. Yeah,
Lions.
I mean, you know,
Carolina Panthers, Houston Texans, and the Minnesota Vikings.
yeah, I mean, it is a difficult thing when you have no life and you have to just, I want everything or I just will have none of it. It doesn't work that way. And this is the other side of the nice cow therapist. This is the one that's telling you just to take a football and I'll autograph it and shove it up your rectum sideways. Okay? God, I mean, and
Also
for the
known as the
NFL,
Stewie Griffin.
Maybe a little one.
the NFL on CBS,
They did.
now this is interesting. Is this true? I'm not a fun guy. Rumors that AVP is interviewing for the Pitt OC job. It wouldn't surprise me. He never had a chance to do the OC's job in Cleveland. He might as well have the job if he's not got the title.
Yeah, he went 500 in the 2 games he got.
Yeah, so yeah, what is that noise?
Not me.
That was awful.
Brian going to the toilet or something.
Yeah, God almighty.
No, definitely not me either.
Wow.
I think you'll find it probably was. But
And I think we all do feel like this should have been better than it was, but it didn't turn out that way. And for so many reasons, on so many levels, starting with, and I'm not going to make injuries because, again, the Ravens fans, are saying the same thing. Joe Shipley saying the same thing. I mean, it starts with all your running backs being injured for the season, and it ends with your quarterback limping around like grandma. I mean, how can you say, well, this was a bad year for the Ravens? It was a catastrophic injury year for the Ravens, and it was a really catastrophic year for the Browns between COVID losses and untimely moments, offensive line without starters, and going into games sometimes with like virtually no offensive linemen, your quarterback suffering 3 major injuries and still trying to play, and people complaining that he really wasn't playing all that well, and hating on him, the hateful fans, the death threats, all of the things put together. This was not a pleasant year. What was supposed to be something that we all look forward to, I have a feeling, is what's going to happen to the Browns forever and ever. The fan base, they don't have a love affair with the team. Don't let them fool you. They want things the way they want things, and if you're not the dead giveaway winner, like the Patriots or whomever, they don't want to have anything to do with you. They got no time for what they call losers, and that's exactly what they are. Because when you put your hopes on a sports team, it's no different than, and we'll use the guy who was the Tony Stone, It's like when you selected a girlfriend, Tony, sometimes it works out. And sometimes, like in your case, she ends up having a dick. It happens. There's disappointment in the world, And I look at that. I see T-Tosh is shaking his head going, I don't know why I come here.
She has a penis. She's got style. She's got grace.
Yes.
She's got that look on her face. She's got everything else. She's got a penis.
Do you know that the guy who sang that on America's Got Talent Ray Jessel was his name. Do you know that he was not just some old man from the middle of nowhere?
Oh yeah, yeah,
He was like a writer on the Carol Burnett show.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
so
was awesome.
yeah, oh yeah. You know, but there you have it, I guess. And at least somebody, you know, Titosh, Bob Schuster, at least one person in England found it funny. So if I can get a laugh from one person, it's damn well worth it, you know? This year didn't go the way any of us wanted it to go, and it's still, you know, we got more headlines. Here's Terry Pluto.
Oh, is he still alive? I thought everybody was dead.
Yeah, he actually put out another book, Brunk. You'll have to see
You're
it.
kidding.
Yeah, and
I'll
chapter 1 and 2 were all stuck
Yeah.
together again. The pages are stuck together, and I just
It's
he
because
autographed it with his.
It's a lot about when the Browns were good. And,
You know,
it was easy to cream in it. So
Yeah, he signed it with his semen. I mean, what do I want to hear this for? Watching the Cincinnati Bengals win on TV, a symbol of the Browns season. Terry Pluto. Well, I don't know what the fuck that means. I mean,
Make it stop.
yeah, I know. Here's the deal, and I want to make this really clear. I think having a division where you have the Steelers descending, you have the Browns really, you know, well, their fans are in a quandary much more than their front office, okay? Because you see, if they get proper receivers and Baker Mayfield heals from and gets his surgery and goes back to the Baker of 2020, they're not going to come in. They'll be back on the bandwagon, and I'll hate them just as much then. The bottom line is that I don't begrudge the Bengals. I think it's great. They're an ascending team. That's the way it's supposed to work, folks. I mean, the Queen City has had more than its share of disappointments. And Mike Brown will fuck this one up too. Probably. But so far, they've done something right. Now, they're going to have to get a much better offensive line so that Burrow will survive to get to the point where they become a really strong, solid team. But sitting watching that... I'm sorry?
Speaking of Joe, was there anything saying about the injury he had at the end of the game yesterday? Because he did come off for the last couple of plays.
Yeah, he interviewed after the game, and they asked him that, and he kind of wryly said, "Oh, I feel great." But no, he did not feel great. And
well, freaking Baker's been saying that since we saw him blow his shoulder out. On the
you don't express weakness in the NFL. You just don't do that. And it was his left knee. I don't know where his surgery was, but it was definitely the left knee when he got hit after he threw that he had problem with. Let's bring Derek Frisbee in here. Hi, Derek, my man. How are you?
I can't hear you. Hold on.
I mean, it's
That may be healthy.
Zach Taylor is absolutely shocking. He is if he wins any sort of Coach of the Year award, I will fucking puke. He is the worst coach in the AFC North by a long, long way. And we're having issues with Stefanski. He's an idiot.
Now, this will come back and haunt Cincinnati. I mean, and it's funny because I was going to bring that up. You're a step ahead of me as usual, Bronk. The headline of, oh, we're sitting there watching the Bengals win. You know, what I was watching was a series of horrible officiating calls that pushed the Bengals into the playoffs. And I don't begrudge them because, you know something, it's been a long enough wait for those folks. And really, Burrow is a very fine quarterback. If they can keep him upright and keep him healthy, he's going to be, you know, a really good quarterback for a really long time. And Jamar Chase is magnificent. He is really, as the season has progressed, gotten better and better. You know, somebody had to win the AFC North, all right? And, no, I'm being serious.
Nobody wanted to.
Every team just had a shot at it and was either played a horrible game. Lamar Jackson had his 4 interception game. Baker had his 4 interception game. Ben Roethlisberger had his 47 turnover game last year in the playoffs against the Browns. I mean, the fact of the matter is that nobody in the division played up to their standards. And in the end, the fact that Cincinnati backed into the playoffs, not because their head coach did the right thing, but because he tried everything in his imagination to fuck it up. That's the amazing thing. And they were bailed out. That was not a hold. I can't see a hold on that play in the end zone. The quarterback had no time to throw the football. He chucked it into the end zone. Nobody was there. Kansas City would have gotten the ball on the 1-yard line. And you know something? Nothing. I would put nothing past. Once you have an opportunity to win the goddamn game, you win the goddamn game. And I don't want him to touch the ball, even with any seconds left on the clock. I mean, you're coaching out of your ass in fear. And that's what I got out of Zach Taylor. And had Cincinnati not gotten that beneficial call, had that not happened, you know damn well in overtime the Chiefs were going to get them.
Oh, God, yeah. They'd
they'd have lost the toss. It would have been Mahomes out there, game over. And Andy Reid wouldn't feel sorry for him. And Zach Taylor would go home the same way that he went home several times this year after making calls that were just like, huh?
He's shocking. We've seen some bad head coaching this year.
Harbaugh.
Teams. And,
Harbaugh, I mean,
Lions and Mike Zimmer. And, we've seen some really bad coaching. Matt Nagy and the Bears. I mean, it's been horrible this year.
It's just been a countdown clock to when Matt Nagy, loses his job. So
Harbaugh was up 10-0 going into the half, but it wasn't enough. He sends his second string quarterback out there heaving the ball with 45 seconds left. And he throws a pick. There was no rhyme nor reason for it. It's like you go in 10 points up. But no, it's 10-7 at the half. No! What kind of a fucking moron? The same moron who keeps going for it for 2 and having a different excuse each time. Crazy like shit. Just crazy shit. Yeah, bad coaching is right. And we've seen Stefanski with his bizarre double lateral plays. And we've seen a lot of that kind of stupidity and weird game plans that don't make any sense, 4th down calls that don't make any sense. Refusing to pass the ball to put teams away. Every team in the division has had its share of downs.
Oh, God, yeah.
And somebody had to win it. And I don't begrudge the Bengals. But they backed into it, quite honestly. And
I think they'll win their first wild card game only because they'll end up playing somebody like San Diego or the Colts or somebody. If they have to play the Patriots or the Bills in the wild card game, they'll get absolutely humiliated.
Yeah, I mean, they're not ready for prime time yet, but they're an ascending team. And we were an ascending team last year, and then I look at it and I say, something, what is the difference if you do go 9-8, between 9-8 and 11-6, and, it's 2 games that, losing to Pittsburgh the first time was bad and really threw a damper into the whole thing. And any number of games you could say could have turned out differently for the Browns. And if you're talking about a 9-8 or even an 8-9 team, 3 games that can swing the other way, and you're in the playoffs. I mean, and there were all so many close games. And
there were six losses by half a dozen points.
But
there
most
were so
of
many
all,
of them that had
self-inflicted by the Browns. A lot of self-inflicted wounds.
Throwing interceptions or just not being aggressive or whatever. I mean, we've hashed every one of those out as it's gone along, and that was kind of the difference last year. Was we had the COVID game against the Jets, where they basically brought guys out of the Sitco to come out and play wide receiver. We had some of those games where how long was Chubb out last year? How long was Hunt out last year?
Longer than this year.
Yeah, I mean, they had all kinds of stuff last year. It's just that some of those borderline games flipped our way. And that was the difference between 11 wins and trying to get to 9 this year if we could, or 8 wins, whatever it ends up being. Or
And the
7.
schedule was a lot easier last year too. I think that's a big key to this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's going to be what comes out of the next couple of weeks as well, right? We're going to see, who are those teams we're going to play on that other side of the schedule. Are we going to play the also Rams?
We're playing NFC South next year.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we don't get the NFC East least like we did last year.
Yeah,
where
right.
all four of those teams were terrible. And speaking
we're coming
of those teams,
out for tonight's.
Mike Glennon's out for the season. They have Jake Fromm and Brian Leroy.
Oh my gosh,
left on the roster.
Jake Fromm.
Wow.
The quarterback everybody
John
from
Glenn?
Georgia hates.
John
Glenn. He's dead.
Yeah,
that guy's out of this world.
John Johnson out, Ronnie Harrison out, Troy Hill out. Okay,
and all those wonderful free agents that we brought in.
Yeah, and none of that has. I mean, John Johnson has been nothing but a pain in the ass. Ronnie Harrison is injured all the time and has
He's
shown
the definition of a pain in the ass.
Ronnie Harrison, doing
Ronnie
Harrison, uncalled for. And Troy Hill, who actually played well while he was out there, this will be his 3rd straight missed game. So again, the Browns, we said, we're healthier than we've been, but the fact of the matter is, it's always been like one position. It's been like the offensive line, all injured at once. The secondary, all injured. Our cornerbacks, all injured at once. It's been that kind of year, and it keeps going from position to position.
Keep in mind, last year your starting safety was Andrew Sendejo.
Right.
He was awesome. He was awesome. He was the Chico Simone of safeties. But anyway, people were concerned about the Rams losing like Troy Hill and John Johnson. How would they be? Well, it turned out they're just fine. They're like 12-4. So, they didn't miss these fuckers at all, did they? They probably knew that we were like overpaying for these like useless twats. But anyway.
I still think we're not using Johnson right, though. If you look at the Rams, all of his success came playing up in the box, and we're using him back as a free safety.
Okay.
I'm not making excuses for him.
I'll give you that.
I'm not trying to make excuses.
It's his attitude. It's his fucking attitude. He's a veteran, and he knows better than to start putting stuff out on social media.
He's like that idiot linebacker we had a few years ago that like we got in from New England for all that money and then decided to quit like in October and still show up and get his paycheck.
You talking about Collins, Jamie Collins?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one.
I mean, I just don't understand. A veteran player who's supposed to be an accountable person who is added because of his character, and he ends up being a dick like that. It doesn't help anybody. We're playing the Steelers, and, if you can't get up for that, they put a hurt on us the first time, and we now have an opportunity to see what the team is made of. They can just take their stuff out of their lockers and go home and quit like a bunch of the bandwagon fans are doing, or they can come out and play hard and really do something special.
It's almost like a playoff game. Instead of, playing to advance, you're playing to end Ben. Like, you can put the final stamp on this. How long has Ben played for the Steelers? This could be the end. Send him out.
Or make sure it is the last time that the cocksucker plays. I mean, they've made this all about the Ben Roethlisberger show, and the guy's a rapist. And the bottom line is that he's a low character person. And he is the kind of person who you wouldn't even trust with your daughter in a room. And I'm not going to glorify people like that. I'm not going to glorify the fact that, hey, the guy, successful quarterback, he's done a lot of great things in his football career, but he's the kind of person that if they carry him off the field, they carry him off the field. I mean, I'm not,
I talked to somebody who is friends or who is friends with a close friend of his, or maybe not friend, but played with him at Miami when he was in college.
Right.
And they said he was an absolute asshole, like just grade A piece of shit. So that didn't surprise me, but yeah.
So here we are playing them again, and we know what they do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, it all comes down to effort. And I guess there's still a glimmer of hope for the Steelers, so they're still playing for something. We're not playing for anything except pride.
Beat the Steelers, yeah.
They are who we thought they are.
And, they're going to come out and they're going to try to step all over us. And we don't have our starting safeties. And, they're going to try to muscle us up front, and they're going to really try to get physical to sense early on if the Browns are simply disinterested and have just called it quits. And that's what I would do if I were them too. I mean, and so the only question that I want answered in all of this, if we come out and we quit, that I never want to hear the accountability speech again from this coach. He's lost the team.
Correct.
Yep.
Because you are playing for something. Because if you come out and quit in this game, in the 16th game of the season, then it don't matter what you draft next year. That attitude is going to be in the locker room next year, the year after, and the year after.
Because a lot of
we've
these guys
seen
are
it in
staying.
Cleveland.
You're going to have a similar roster next season. The same group of guys, for the most part, will be the same group of guys next year. So yeah, if they've already quit on Stefanski and his messaging, it's not going to all of a sudden change. The only thing that would change it would be winning, and you can't win in the off season. So the whole messaging thing, it's going to be very hard if things go south here today and against the Bengals. It's going to be really hard for Kevin to get them back.
Well, I would say that if they come out and they're just not serious about playing, he's already lost them. And that's what I want to see. I want to see whether this team has any pride whatsoever, or if they're going to come out and play with character, or if they're just going to let it all go. And then, if you're a fan, you have something you can complain about. The outcome of a season's not in our hands. Sometimes it's not even in the team's hands. It's in the hands of fate. But effort, you got to give the full effort in a game like this, because it does matter. Because if you don't come out trying hard and pushing hard this game, that's what's going to live in the locker room next year. And I think a lot of us would agree that if we had to go back to that, like we watched our teams quitting in the past, it would be more than most Browns fans would be able to stomach.
Do you think when we play the Bengals, they'll rest their starters since they made the playoffs?
Sure.
Yes.
They ain't going to let Joe Burrow get hit in the knee again.
Yeah, they won't play Chase.
So this is the last meaningful game then for us.
Well, I was going to say, though, don't they have an outside chance, though, of getting home field over the Titans?
Oh,
because they own the head-to-head against Kansas City.
Possibly.
So that would be so they may have something on the line next week.
Yeah, they may be able to get the number one seed. Let's double check.
All right, and now Brown's gratification is saying, also bringing up the fact that AVP is interviewing for the OC job at Pitt. I don't understand this. The discourse between Kevin and he is there if he's leaving. I don't understand what that means.
Well, he doesn't really have a job right now.
Yeah, And then I think AVP was for Team Baker, and Kevin doesn't believe in Baker. All right, and let's let the man finish his stuff. I say that because they disagree about Baker's injury hindering him. AVP says the harness is affecting Baker badly, and Kevin in the mindset of injury isn't bothering Baker, etc. And I think there is a lot of truth to the fact that, I found it interesting then when he was giving that ridiculous, what he thought was a stimulating pep rally talk after a meaningless win. It turned out to be a meaningless win. And he was reading off a cue card that he had to turn to Case Keenum and say, finish the sentence for me, Case. And it's like, Case only played one fucking game. I mean, he's not the leader of your team. Baker Mayfield is the leader of your team. So
supposed to be.
Yeah, well, and I think that Baker is headstrong, and I think that I just don't think that things are all healthy there either.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there is discourse behind the scenes between Stefanski and Baker, for good or for worse.
Yeah, first Bronk and then Bob.
Yeah, Kansas City plays Denver on Saturday, so you'd think that Kansas City would win that. And then on Sunday, Tennessee plays Houston, so you'd think Tennessee would win that. They're both 11-5, Cincinnati are 10-6. So chances are, if Kansas City wins that game that they've got, they'll be the number one seed going into Sunday. And then Tennessee would be favored to win too. So I think Cincinnati's going to rest their starters. Is what
they have. Yeah, they got to
upset.
And Bob, what were you going to say?
Is my mic working?
No, you got to crank that up.
Hold on.
Testing.
One,
two, three.
Setup.
Jack, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, sorry. Just a new computer and new homes, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I was very disappointed in the bowl thing. I wanted to hear that see that Wonderkind quarterback from Pitt. Never seen him play all year. What do you know about him?
He's good. Here's the thing with Kenny Pickett. He's a guy who is kind of a late bloomer, almost similar to Baker when, Baker didn't really explode onto the scene as far as, being a name guy till later. Pickett was kind of the same thing. I think he's 24 or something right now. So yeah, this season was his kind of breakout year, obviously Heisman finalist, but yeah, I know people shit on players for not playing in bowl games, but I mean, his backup quarterback got hurt. And, if it was me in his position, no way in hell would I be playing. So, but I think he's good. I think there are a couple good quarterbacks in this class. It's just there's no for sure guy. There's no Trevor Lawrence in this class. There's no Justin Fields or somebody who you've known for a long time. I think that's the biggest problem for people.
Look at Matt.
Sorry, that was long-winded.
No, that's okay. And X-Men Avenger, you're tired of the experiments at head coach. Well, I mean, he's not going anywhere. All right, Kevin Stefanski is in tight with the front office, with the analytics people. It's whether they're going to sabotage Baker Mayfield with more weak wide receivers and an imbalanced game plan. And we'll never know. Well, we will eventually know with Baker, because wherever he goes, assuming that he would go to a team that has a chance to win, then we'll know. But it's... there's a lot that could be the case with Baker. It could be that he's never going to get his footwork right, and it's not just the injury, it's just a tendency. That's a possibility. It could be that Baker just wants to be a gunslinger, and when he just throws the ball downfield into double coverage, even if it's Donovan Peoples-Jones, and it gets intercepted, he was going to do that, and it's just kind of a rash thing that he's going to do. It may be that Baker Mayfield is the wrong quarterback. It may be that the coach wants a game manager and that he's going to Marty ball his way into the unemployment line, as it has with every other coach who ever coached that way. I mean, we got the Bill Belichick who controlled our offense. You know, the future versions of Bill Belichick brought in different offensive coordinators, but it wasn't him. He was the defensive genius. But you remember in Cleveland, he was the one who stood up and said, Bernie is diminished skills.
Diminished skills, yes.
That's why I honestly, and I hate to say this, I'm not rooting. I'm not rooting against Baker. I've been a big fan of him, but I really think there's a legit chance that this could be his last game in Cleveland because of Stefanski. I think they don't want him. I think honestly, Baker, I don't think he wants us anymore, and I don't blame him. So I think this game,
I wouldn't want to play here.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Well, I wouldn't want to play with these fans. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with it.
That's why I say assholes. I think he's done. I think this thing has just gone downhill so quick, and I don't know how they turn it around.
The media here, led by Cleveland.com, has practically had a fatwa against Baker for most of the year.
They've had a fatwa against the Browns for years.
Fucking dead, you know.
I mean, they actually reveled in the 1 in 31 days.
Maybe it was Mary Kay sending those death threats. You ever think about that?
Return postage. It goes something like this. Baker should have been operated on today, period. And I couldn't agree more.
Correct.
There is no reason why Baker Mayfield should be playing in tonight's game. There's no reason. I mean, and all this, he's injured, he's not injured, he's limited, he's not limited, it's a restrictive device, it's not, whatever the case may be, Baker Mayfield has a job next year. And if the Browns don't want to keep him, letting him get injured in a meaningless game makes no sense whatsoever, except it's plain hateful.
Yeah.
If there's something that you feel will somehow make him a better quarterback, well, I still think receivers would make him a better quarterback, but it may not ever be good enough.
And even if you don't want Baker and you're going to move on, don't hurt the guy's future. I mean, let him get healthy and go somewhere else if he wants. Yeah. That's just pure being a dick. If you're going to try to, you hate this guy so much that you're willing to keep throwing him out there when it doesn't really matter to just get him killed. That's
now, you know what will happen? He'll end up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well,
that would be typical.
Wow,
that would be typical. Now, and let Case finish the last two games. For all the big talk of Stefanski, he couldn't feel that strongly about Case Keenum, or else there would have been more Case Keenum sightings on the field this year, which, of course, there wasn't. And then we have these opinions, any guy whose name sounds like a cheap roadside motel, I don't want him. I don't want a guy who, honest to God, has a noodle arm. Please make it stop and go away forever.
That sounds like a town on the way to West Virginia. Fucking certainly.
I mean, as a backup, but if you're thinking he's going to start, no.
Yeah. And I'm sure AVP is pissed off.
And you do that with Todd Monken, too. Remember him with the other regime? He could say, I don't know what I'm doing here. They wouldn't let him do anything.
And look at him now. He's going to win a national championship next Monday.
Go get.
Hey, now this guy here, the American flag guy, he comments to the show, and he and I go back and forth in the comments. And, hey, it's all good. If you believe they suck, then it's your opinion, I believe that America sucks. So I guess we're even. Now, don't we? Aren't we? Don't you think? Wow. America sucks. Burn the flag. Burn the flag.
I love how his profile picture is not the American flag. It's a button of the American flag with the name D, period.
It's a lapel pin. It's all he can afford. Come on.
What's that on your uniform? A pledge pin.
Pledge pin.
Pledge pin. Yeah. And hey, Sting.
We played the Steelers. I blacked out of that. What was the final score, and where did we go wrong against the Steelers at home?
Wasn't it like
Oh my
15,
God.
15 to 10.
13,
It
something
was
like that?
15 to 10, and we played not to win. We played not to lose, and came down to the last play of the game, and it was 4th down and goal, and Ben goes back to throw. Nobody's open, and he just fires the ball as hard as he can into the deep part of the end zone, and the cornerback or safety, whoever it was draped all over Fryermuth, and somehow Fryermuth juggles it, catches it, and keeps his feet in bounds, and another pig pen win against the Browns.
And then that
That's
was
what
the
happened.
infamous game of the fake field goal, that Tomlin ran that went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
We got the ball back, and then that blew, and then we fucked up somehow, and that blew up the.
They lost their kicker.
Yeah, they lost their kicker. He got kicked out of the game.
And they
know,
Ronnie
and-
Harrison, I think, or who was it? Who was it that hit him? I can't remember.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it Mac? Wasn't it Mac Wilson?
Might
Or
have been
somebody?
Yeah, I can't remember the kicker, but
So let me ask
Oh,
you this.
no. It was Jordan Elliott. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
okay,
But
there we
yeah, it
go.
was Jordan
Yeah,
Elliott.
that's good.
Mediocrity. So is Joe Burrow mediocre because his team was an official's call away from being a 500 team?
Being 8-7.
That definition of mediocre. Ben Roethlisberger, mediocre, and Lamar Jackson, mediocre, and outplayed by his own backup. And I'll say that over and over again.
Outplayed by
Huntley
his
has
third
looked better
string.
in that offense than Lamar Jackson.
Huntley's not bad. I don't mind Huntley. I think he's pretty good.
No, not at all. He's done a very good job. But, it depends what your definition of mediocrity is. And so far, the sample is, I don't consider the first 2 years of Baker, I mean, with Way Jackson and with, and with the double wide guy, Freddie Kitchens, I really don't think, but in 2 years in a stable system, you look at the records and you can say for yourself, it was a good year last year and it was a bad year this year. And there were close games last year that we won and close games that we lost this year. There were games that Baker won in the fourth quarter in 2020 that he did not win in 2021. You can say that part of it's because of injuries, or you can say he's mediocre. In the end, we don't know the answer. And I'm hoping that he at least gets to have a chance to show next year whatever the answer to that is.
And despite everybody's opinions, should we keep him? Will we keep him? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Andrew Berry's going to do whatever the hell he wants, and we have no say on it. So,
right,
opinions don't matter that much, or at least not to them.
And there's so many things being said. I'm looking here. Here's Mr. Stump. Unless Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers shocks the world and wants to go to Cleveland, it's like McFly. Hello, McFly. I mean, why would that
doesn't even
happen?
make sense.
Why would that happen?
Yeah, that
Come
doesn't
on.
make sense to me. Yeah.
And
Ridenhour last week talking about the Green Bay game being an audition for Aaron Rodgers to come to Cleveland. And you and I
wouldn't that be a great name for a hooker? Marla Ridenhour.
Ride an hour.
Yeah, that's a great name for a hooker.
You can't be the first person to think of that one.
No, but I mean, it's got to be a great
Can't
porn
be.
name. That's an unintentional porn name.
Yeah,
That's how Bronk got his name. So,
Yeah. And the fact is, right now, I don't see anyone better than the healthy 2020 Baker Mayfield either. In the short term, and I can't look into the future and see who may or may not be.
Oh, we gotta have Peter Alice play of the day yesterday. Because I have their Peter Alice for a couple weeks.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
He's shining Buddy White right now.
Zach Taylor's going for it again. Oh my, look at the fans in Cincinnati. Oh, you couldn't pull a pin out of their ass. They're so tight. Back to throw, Burrow. Oh, there's two men running after him. They cave in his left knee. He throws the ball into the ground. And wait a minute, what's that on the ground? That looks to me like it's a penalty out of nowhere. Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Okay, that's the Peter Alice call.
Hey, I'm sorry if you guys have talked about this yet or already, but have you talked about Antonio Brown and his clown show yesterday?
I want
It's
to.
available.
Yeah.
Oh, slap shot. I thought it was doing a slap shot homage, you know?
Well, here's the thing.
You talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, I did talk about it yesterday, and now there's more stuff being written.
Oh.
You know, I'll sit here and until I'm blue in the face, and I'll just keep, you know.
He's sick. He's got CTE.
He has brain damage. And the fact of the matter is, and if you don't want to believe me, look at the circumstance. All right, you look at the video and you say, all right, the coach tells him get in the game. He says no. The coach asks him one more time. He says no, or his Topaz, no. And he refuses to go into the game. He starts to take off his jersey. Mike Evans comes over and tries to stop him. Okay? Cannot stop him from taking off his jersey. The other two players back off, let him go ahead and immolate himself and throw himself into the fire. And he takes that off. Then he proceeds to take his gloves off. And then he's throwing the stuff into the stands. And then he starts running into the end zone, waving. They're not his fans. He's not in his home stadium. He never played in New York. Would somebody please explain to me? I mean, you're looking at a man who has fallen apart. He's a mentally broken person.
He's doing a striptease.
I got it.
Sick. I mean, you know, and you want to know what he did after he was done in the end zone doing that little?
Yeah.
Did he piss on the goalpost?
No. Topaz did, but not him.
Sounds like
he said to the security guard that he wanted his wallet because he needs to get transportation out. He's undressed. Why would he have his wallet? What in the world? And the answer is this. If you wanted a glimpse into what CTE does, you see, you don't see Junior Seau, video of Junior Seau in the last moments of his life. Okay? No. You don't see that. You don't see Dave Duerson killing himself.
Wow.
You don't see it. Yeah. But these types of rash things that it's almost like spur of the moment, erratic behavior is what this disease and the breakdown of the brain is all about. There was no reason why Antonio Brown didn't go into the game. There was no reason why he started taking his jersey off. He probably didn't even remember where he was at and what stadium he was at. It makes no sense because he's addled. And the only one who seems to get it is Tom Brady because he had the most compassionate words afterwards. You know, this guy needs help. It's a Delonte West story. The guy needs mental help. Yeah, Bronk.
We're old enough to remember Tony Horton like crawling to first base or something.
Yes.
Remember that? I mean, that was pathetic. Jim Pearsall. There's all sorts of mental illness in sport. We brought up a few. I mean, you know, I
for yourself, old man.
That's true, but anyway, it's ultimately sad, but you got the NFL's to blame for it, 100%. So
well, look at number 6 out there playing quarterback every week.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he doesn't,
the NFL
quit, but we can obviously tell he's physically unable to be successful.
We don't usually get a glimpse into CTE because what happens is the players, they can still go out and play, and it seems normal enough. But we don't see them in their personal lives. We don't see them getting into arguments with their girlfriends, spouses, children, that they're changed people. All of the families of people who ended up with dead athletes who had CTE from the NFL, they were changed people. And we never got to know those people when they were healthy and whole. And we never got to see how erratic their behavior became, how their memory was destroyed, how violent instincts would often take over and assaults would take place, how homelessness hit Mike Webster, and how a guy who could be a multiple Super Bowl champion could end up in the streets like that. We don't get a glimpse of it because the NFL doesn't want us to see it. But everybody can see that, and they're going to try to pass it off. Oh, that's him. That's AB. That's just the way he's always been. Well, the fact of the matter is maybe he has had a screw loose for a long time. But yeah, what I saw there was a person who was totally confused.
My concern is we're going to wake up one day and find out that he shot himself.
Right, that's too late. They should have all these coaches sit down. Here's what I saw from him. How can he go from the most stable organization, the Steelers, to the street? And everybody else, it was Belichick, the Raiders. They can have a little discussion while it's alive. This is what I saw. Not to embarrass him, but trying to get some information for the future.
Yeah. Now, Joe, Herbert is not a proven commodity. So let's not go running in that direction. You need a body of work to be judged on your ability. And 2 years of Kevin Stefanski or 1 year of Herbert and looking good in some games and then just looking flummoxed against the Texans doesn't really that doesn't get it. I just what I feel bad for is that the NFL will just make it about what goofy AB did. And we'll find out later just how bad it is with him when he's just like homeless, just like Delonte West was on the street.
Yeah.
And just like when Jamal Lewis came to the Browns for that final year, and then he ended up bankrupt and with nothing and without his memory. Really great. So
I mean, that hit that he took when he was with the Steelers against the Bengals.
Vontaze Burfict.
Vontaze Burfict, yeah. I mean, that was, that's just one of those kind of things. And you touched on this a little bit before about people sitting out of these bowl games. People were, I guess, between COVID, people being out and other things like that, all these players, the big, whatever, big deal with Herb Street saying these guys just don't love football. Fuck Kirk Herbstreit. Fuck him in his stupid ass. That guy fucking makes his living off these guys being out there. ESPN pretty much owns all the bowls but one of them. Okay? They put on all this stuff for programming for them, and until this year, these guys didn't get jack squat other than money for an education. And they had to spend hours and hours and hours not studying, doing their physical things that related to their sport. And, fuck that guy and his stupid ass. I mean, that just pissed me off so much when he said something like that. And you see a guy like Matt Corral blow his knee up or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Sprained ankle, thankfully. Only
ankle. Okay. I mean, whatever happened, but if he really had gotten hurt, he could have dropped quite a ways in the draft. And that's millions of dollars towards his life. These guys have, and these bowl games outside of the top four mean nothing.
Yeah.
If you're not in that playoff, who the hell cares who won the Rose Bowl? Was it a great, exciting game to watch? Hell yeah, it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. Were the Utes a great?
Wasn't good football.
No, it wasn't at all. It played no. It was like me playing video games on easy. You know, it's like
You know what it
let
was
me see if I
like?
can score again.
Watch the George Foreman Ron Lyle fight. Go over to YouTube and watch Rock'em Sock'em Robots played out in a boxing ring where each guy took turns knocking the other one down. It's exciting to watch, but nobody would ever say it was good boxing.
It was exciting just because no one could stop the other team and whatever. And
But that's incompetence.
Yeah,
I mean, plain and simple.
Oh, no,
I mean, letting that quarterback from Utah run that ball all the way down the sidelines. Who was wrapping him up? Who was trying to tackle him, for Christ's sake? The guy was trying to go down. He was running backwards.
Even when they did actually get a hold of people, they wouldn't try to tackle them. They try to force the ball out, and then they'd get an extra 5 or 10 yards. And you're just like, for Christ's sake, do something, you know. So, but nonetheless, these guys, you know, them not playing in a bowl game that it means nothing at all. Okay, wow, you're gonna, you know, the Sony PlayStation Bowl, they all got a new PS5. Okay, that's not a bad deal. However, Quinn Evers, who hadn't even taken a snap, who was a high school player, hadn't even taken a snap, got $1 million basically to, you know, to not even do whatever. He was in an ad here in Columbus for Reichert Ford, or Reichert Automotive, whatever. He's still in it, and he ended up. I mean, he's now, of course, he's in Texas, but I mean, you know, and they've done this. I mean, now it's just like, and people are like, oh, and the transfer portal, freaking Dabo Sweeney can suck a dick too. The transfer. Exactly. I'm on a mood. I'm on a roll here, Moo.
Go.
I'm like, just like when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor.
I'm like, I mean, honestly, when he said that stuff, talking about, oh, the transfer portal is going to ruin this stuff. You know what? People like freaking Nick Saban would bring in 40 guys every year, or whatever the hell it was, 25 guys on scholarship. And if they weren't contributing, he'd basically take their scholarships away. You know what? Fuck those guys. If you can go somewhere else and play somewhere, you know, it's probably going to hurt the team I root for, who does that, who brings in a bunch of quality talent, who lost a guy like Jameson Williams, who went out and had a tremendous season in Alabama. But you know what? Yeah, Joe Burrow. There's another answer. But, you know, yeah, it's just, you know what?
We got to pick this game tonight. We got to pick a score.
Don't make it do us, please.
Derek, what's the score?
Oh, do I even care? Let's see. I will go 17-21. As much as I'd like to say the Browns win, it seems too set up. I think the Steelers win. Ben goes out. Hooray. Who cares?
Bob?
Is everybody playing for the Browns tonight?
No, not the three safeties, and we, Troy Hill's out, Harrison is out, and John Johnson is out.
Well,
we're not sure that Kareem Hunt's going to play.
Right? Yeah, I think he shouldn't play. I don't think Baker should play. I think, you know, at this point it should be see what should we get out of Keaton. I don't know.
Mullen
got so lucky last year in Pittsburgh with everything went wrong for them. Maybe we can get lucky tonight. You know.
Pick your
I don't know, 17-14 Browns.
All right. Bronk?
Oh, I'm just going to be crazy. I'm going to say Cleveland 38, Pittsburgh 13. Fuck that. We're going to go on. We're going to be up 5 on the turnovers. I'm going Cleveland 38, Pittsburgh 13. Because if I'm staying up and watching this game, we're going to fucking win it.
And by the way, there's a halftime show. There's no post-game show. Hammer time.
It's too fucking late where you live.
That would be too late, period.
I'm going to go 24-22 Cleveland.
Woo! Look at that.
All right. And Brian? Brian is muted.
He interrupted for a while.
He's muted. Yeah. All right. Well,
I'm going to say goodbye to family. Today is my mom's 85th birthday, so.
Oh, great! Congratulations.
Hopefully, the Browns deliver a win. I'm picking I'm picking the Browns 19-16 over the Steelers.
All right, and me, I think it's set up for Pigpen to write off just, and we're getting a lot of feedback from somebody's microphone.
Brian.
Yeah. Let's see if that stopped it.
Stop.
Is it? No, I'm still getting some of it. At any rate, I think that Pigpen rides off into the sunset, and I gotta find out why this is doing this. It was Bob. Okay, so I'm sorry, Bob, but I want at least people to hear what I'm saying. 27-17 Pittsburgh, and the Browns are gonna try to run the football and force themselves into third and pass rush situations, and there will be turnovers, there will be blood, and I think that the Steelers are going to win, and I think because they're going to want it more, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but I've seen it too many damn times. Before I get out of here, I wanted to say something because I posted something on Twitter. The Cavaliers were down by like 13 points yesterday, and it looked like the heart was ripped out of them. I mean, without Darius Garland out there, and then Okoro being, helped off the court because his arm, which turns out to be a sprained elbow, he's gone for 2 to 3 weeks. No point guards. I mean, we got a 28-year-old European point guard, John Pangos, who, played for Gonzaga. And the thing that's amazing about Gonzaga is I understand that the NBA had a big reunion party for all the stars in the NBA who went to Gonzaga, and nobody showed up. Yeah, Bronk.
I gotta hear Tommy Heinsohn say Rajon Rondo one more time. We haven't.
Well, you will, because that deal is done. Denzel Valentine and Denzel Washington, they go to New York to the Knicks, and the Cavaliers get Rajon Rondo. You're going to hear it all the time. And one thing, I'll be doing it at home. The first assist where he goes into the lane and dishes it out and go, Rajon Rondo. I'm just going to be Heinsoning all over the place. But what I was going to say is, you had, John Pangos.
Heimlicking.
Yeah, I mean, John Pangos, who God only knows can't play point guard in the NBA. Goodwin, Goodwin is doing a nice job for a guy who's got no experience. And, Pangos was killing us. He was just lumber over the midcourt line. And he did something, I call it the white man's crouch. And it's when the game's moving too fast, the white man in basketball who has no athletic skill and it's moving too fucking fast for him stops dribbling and hunches over. I don't know what it means, but it's the white man's hunch. And it was bringing the game to a crawl, which is exactly the way that the Pacers would want to play, which would be really inordinately physically and in the half court. And I figured, man, so I posted on Twitter, well, it looks like the heart's been ripped out of this team. And then out of nowhere, man, they came like bat out of hell. Kevin Love caught fire at the end of the third quarter. We got back up on top in that game. It was like pulling a tooth at the end. We had trouble making free throws. But the fact is that the Pacers have lost a number of close games this year, exactly in the same way they lost to us. But give credit at 21-16. The question now is against Memphis. There's a possibility that Darius Garland could be back playing. That's a possibility. That would be very nice. Pangos is going to be gone, and I think they're going to keep Goodwin, maybe on a two-way, and I then, with Okoro being gone, it's going to be interesting. But you're going up against Ja Morant. I hope we have Darius Garland back, but we'll see. That's tomorrow's As the World Turns story. But credit all things to effort. And the fact is that the Cavaliers refuse to die. And the other thing is Evan Mobley, when you needed a lift at the beginning of the game, he gave it to you in the fourth quarter. He gave you a lift by the end of the game. Mobley was actually out front at the top of the key making passes and was going one-on-one with people, getting into his jump shot range. And he's 20 years old. This guy hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can do. And he scored 24 points and helps the team win. That's character. And that's what I want to see the Browns play with. That kind of character tonight, that never say die attitude. And, for all the Cleveland fans, I know you're not looking for the Cleveland Cavaliers because there's no LeBron James that you can curse out, or you can't curse out his wife or his mother, or all the things that you rotten beasts of fandom do. The fact of the matter is the Cavaliers are worth watching because they are overachieving. And that's something I would love to be able to say about the Cleveland Browns, its coaching staff, and some of the players on the team as well. I'll be back at halftime. Whatever's happening, I'll be here, but I won't be here after the game because I got to get to sleep, and it's too late. So everybody, I want you to have a good time watching the game tonight. And for those people who are watching, you are the true fans. For those people who've kissed it off, you're fake fans, you're bandwagon fans, and they're fans that the Browns don't need, I don't need, and no journalist who's seriously trying to talk about things has anything to do with people who are just flat out assholes. And I don't have time for it, and it's really a shame. The Browns players deserve better than that. So I'll join you again at halftime, which will be around 10 o'clock tonight, and we'll see which Browns team comes out. It'll be interesting, but I'll be watching it with a certain distancing, knowing that I won't be living and dying on every play because the playoffs are gone. So I'm going to be able to look at this a little bit less emotionally as the game gets played out. So at halftime, I'll probably be a lot calmer than what I usually am. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back again with you at halftime. Thanks to Brian, to Hammer Time, to Bronk, Bob, thank you, and Derek. And enjoy the game Key. Tonight. I'm sorry?
Enjoy the replay, Key.
Oh, yes, Key. Enjoy the replay.
Happy New Year.
And we'll be back again at halftime. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.